Kitco Mining special coverage of the Mining Investment Event of the North is brought to you by EMX Royalty Corp.
Surging global demand for silver is good news for the largest silver producer in the United States. My next guest is Phil Baker, CEO of Hecla Mining Company. Phil, welcome.
Thank you. Good to be with you, Ernest.
Glad to have you. So it's obviously a very exciting time to be in silver. Every time we open a newspaper, we get the projections for demand revised upward, especially from photovoltaics, from the solar industry. And Hecla is particularly well positioned to take advantage of this in the coming years. We'll get into that. But first, I saw the announcement this morning that you had to suspend operations at the Casa Berardi mine in Quebec. Wanted to get a sense from you of how these forest fires have been impacting your operations.
So the impact has not really been on the operations themselves. They've really been on the organizations that are fighting the fires. And as a result of them having limited resources, they've ordered us not to go into the forest. So we're just limited. The risk of a fire where we're located is very minimal. We're on a quite wide road. We would water the road, and our site itself, there's no trees that are really up against the site. So it's low risk where we are, but we're in this period of time where they're concerned about their ability to control fires should they come out.
All right, so they don't want more at-risk people and assets out there. Okay. So you acquired Alexco Resources about a year ago during the pandemic. How has it gone folding that into your operations?
Yeah, we actually acquired it in September of last year, and we've been in the development process since that time. And in fact, Alexco started that development process because we lent them money prior to the closing, and it's gone very, very well. The objective that we had is to take the two deposits, get enough infrastructure and enough development in place, so basically 3 levels, where we can be confident that we can operate the mill at its nameplate capacity. We're in the final stages of that, and we will start production in the third quarter. Not sure exactly when, but it will start then. I was just there at Keno last week, and of the 4 faces that I went to, all of them had a average grade between 2 kilos and 3 kilos a ton. That's somewhere between 60 and 100 ounces per ton. Super high grade mineralization, quite exciting where this mine is starting. So we're in a great position to produce about 2.5 million ounces in the second half of the year, which not sure where the cash flow will be, but will certainly be at least neutral, if not positive.
All right. Now, you also have a bit of a Yukon focus emerging. You acquired ATAC. What's the rationale for your focus on the north?
Yeah, well, the rationale really is specific to ATAC and its connection to Keno. It actually touches Keno, and so it was its proximity. And it's a huge land package. I think it's about 1,100 square kilometers. It's 145 kilometers long. The work that's been done in the past allows us to really focus on it and to take our time to figure out exactly where we want to explore. And it was an opportunity that arose as a result of a proposal made by another company that put it in play. And we said, okay, we got to go ahead and take it now. So it's not specifically a focus on the north. Having said that, we really like where we are in the Yukon. We're in other sort of cold regions of the U.S. and Canada, and we operate well in those areas.
All right. Now, you've also changed your mining approach with Lucky Friday.
Yes.
What was the actual innovation there?
Well, let me tell you what the problem was to begin with. The problem was that we are so deep that the amount of seismicity that we have, so we'll have these events where when we mine, we will have faults that will slip and you'll have a seismic event. And that put our miners at risk. So we would shut down the operations waiting for those seismic events to happen. So our objective was to control when effectively an earthquake happens and where it happens. And so we invented a new mining method that we're in the process of patenting, and that we received the innovation award from the U.S. Mining Engineering Association, that we're have put in place. And what that allows us to do is to increase the throughput of the mine and do it in a safe way. So we're going to see this mine, the throughput increase by about 50% this year over what it was 2 years ago. And we'll probably be able to continue to grow it from there. And that allows this mine to be a 5 to 6 million ounce producer compared to the 2 to 3 million ounce producer it used to be. And this is an 80-year-old mine. This is a mine, so its best days are in front of it.
That's amazing. Now, the Inflation Reduction Act, I wanted to talk a little bit about that. It has a lot of support for battery metals, not particularly for silver, but there's still some benefit for Hecla. Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, so it relates to critical minerals, and zinc is a critical mineral. So we're looking at ways that we can utilize this, the funding that's available, to study various aspects of our operations. For example, at Greens Creek, the early days of that mine, the recoveries were quite low, and so the dry stack tailings actually has high value in it. So is there a way to actually process that material? It's millions of pounds of zinc, as well as gold, silver, lead that's at surface. It would be very easy to mine. So it's a question of processing. So we're studying those types of things.
All right. So you have upside on the zinc.
We do.
Okay. And then also another piece of legislation, very significant, very recent. We had the debt ceiling deal, and this impacted mining permitting in the United States. What is that going to do for the industry going forward?
This is really significant. If there's something that should get more attention, it's the impact that this legislation has on permitting. Effectively, what they have done is they have determined for an EIS or for an EA, so an environmental assessment or environmental impact study, how many pages that document can be. They've determined how long the agencies have to evaluate that and come to a conclusion. And probably most importantly, they've allowed the companies to hire the contractors to write these documents. And so we now have more control over the timing of it. So what's going to happen is the permitting process up front is going to be much faster. The thing that it doesn't deal with is the judicial review process. That's coming. There is absolute agreement across the Congress for the need to improve the permitting process. From the Democrats' perspective, it's on transmission lines. For the Republicans, it's on other types of permitting, including mining.
All right. So at the end of that process, you'll have a beginning to end streamlined. It'll make it easier to plan. It presumably speeds the process up, but it also gives you clarity in terms of starting a process and having a realistic finish line.
That's exactly right. And you have less uncertainty with respect to, you'll end up having less uncertainty with respect to the litigation. You'll still have it, but it will be much better than the system that we have today.
All right. So I guess my final question for you would be, what's on the horizon for Hecla? What are you most excited about in the coming months?
Well, what I'm most excited about is building on the growth that we've already had. 2018, we produced 10 million ounces of silver. Last year, we produced 14 million ounces, so 40% increase. This year, 17 million ounces of silver. And next year, we should be at 20 million ounces with about a little more than the portion that was produced in the United States represents half of all the silver mined in the United States. The portion that we'll mine from Canada represents 40% of all the silver mined in Canada. So it's that growth, it's that jurisdiction that we're operating from, it's the fact that these operations are low cost and very long-lived. The two of the operations that we have are 35-year mines. One's an 82-year mine, and they are all of those have long lives in front of them.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Phil, for joining us today. This is very, very interesting, and it sounds like a bright runway for Hecla.
Thank you very much.
I'm Ernest Hoffman for Kitco Mining. Keep it here for more coverage from the Mining Investment Event of the North, and don't forget to subscribe.
Kitco Mining special coverage of the Mining Investment Event of the North is brought to you by EMX Royalty Corp.